How valid are these concerns that with improving weather conditions, we're going to see an increase in pirating activities?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I think that before I comment on that fear particularly, I need to put that fear into perspective. Now, I think that the principal basis for that fear is the assumption that an improved weather has implications on the boisterity, the extent of how boisterous the water is. It has implications on improved sail and therefore also visibility, and then the capacity of the pirates to reach further ashore so as to target commercial ships. And I think that it makes sense ordinarily, but if you put it into the context of the situation in Somalia, there are a number of critical things that come into play. And I think that the cause-effect relationship is not as direct as that fear makes it look, for a number of reasons. Number one is the fact that those good or the fair weather situation as we are looking at here also goes to the advantage of the ships, in the sense that they also require improved visibility. They also require ease of maneuvering and many other factors as improved weather conditions present for them to be able to take precautionary measures against the activities of piracy. And therefore, improved weather condition in this context will also work in the favor of the shipping community. That is number one. Number two is also the variable of the presence of the international navies. Remember that since they started operating, it is clear that they've had an impact on the number of piracy cases. And therefore, it's important that we put these variables into the equation and address our fears appropriately. What may happen is that these factors will also play out against a possible increase in the number of piracy attacks. And therefore, I do not think the business community should fear so much as to lead to an increase in the prices of goods and commodities and speculative buying, which has a ripple effect on the economy.
Okay, Andrews, even if ships with new technology and weather conditions improving and visibility improving can be a little bit more vigilant, and even with the collaboration of NATO states and the Navy patrols, even though that's led to a decrease in piracy by 40%, the fear is that the pirates have become bolder. They're starting to use motherships. They're sailing further away from the shore, and with improved weather conditions, it makes it just a little bit more viable and feasible for them to coordinate their activities a lot better. What do you think of that?
No, I think that those factors also work in favor of particularly the international navies. Remember that in a fair weather condition, they can also respond quickly to distress calls, and therefore they have the turf to also make an improved contribution to the situation on the ground. The fact is that as much as we try also to put it in the perspective of early warning, for the purpose of not kicking off a situation of speculative buying and panic within the business community, it's very important for us to put this in perspective, that the presence of the international Navy is going to play out very well. And whether or not the figures are going to change depends on whether or not the international naval forces in the territorial waters of Somalia up their game. And I think that is where the critical thing lies. It is that on one side, and also the extent of determination and resolve of the pirates on the other. Right. What we are seeing is that the pirates are increasingly appears to be investing back into the business. And what then becomes the critical thing here is what is the driving force on the land. Okay. And I think that if the naval forces up their game, that fear may actually be contained.
Okay, Andrews, thank you very much for your input. Just your perspective on this one. Although the figures haven't been officially quantified, the fear is that because of the increased pirating activities of the Gulf of Aden, ships are sailing 10 days extra on the sea because they're having to go further east.
Away, yes.
The freighting costs have gone up, with the Kenya Shipping Council saying about 2 billion shillings per month is spent on insurance by shipping companies. And also you've seen the Kenyans paying 2 shillings extra for petrol because of the threats posed by pirates hijacking oil tankers.
I think that is an example of how crime raises the costs of doing business, and there's lessons, I think, all over the world. The fact that ransoms have been paid have encouraged piracy, and one can understand why they get paid, because it's an easier solution, as it were, but it actually creates problems down the line.